where Bradley Cooper dies, and of course this is a spoiler, and I want people to know that. But I hear he becomes a ghost in the movie, and I think it gives Lady Gaga the power to become Lady Gaga, to truly become the star that is born, the star child. I think I'm not sure if people really know this. This is a direct sequel to the 2001: A Space Odyssey movie.
Right, that's
A Star
Lady
is Born.
Gaga at the end of 2001: Space Odyssey. That's
As a baby.
right.
So this is kind of like the boyhood, like girlhood equivalent, also like a Richard Linklater kind of movie. She's
I see.
filmed her birth, and now it's going into The Star is Born. It's kind of a weird title, but I get it.
Yeah, how long has it been since 2001? Well, it's been since 2001. It's been about
17
17
years.
years.
Was
Seven
seven
minus
minus one.
1 is 6.
Is 6. Wow. Welcome to another week of Ghosts in the Scene, everybody. With your host Gio. This is the only ghost-free podcast out there in the podcast verse. I'm with my co-host Rob. How's it going, Rob?
Oh, it's been a spooky week. I think I got something in my eye. It might be a possession of some sort, so I'm extra geared up because we can't take any chances at this point. It is the spookiest time of year, ladies and gents. The spirits are among us.
That's right. October is nothing to fuck with, guys. This whole month you got to be on your toes. There's 31 days. That's 1 day extra. And so we have with us an expert in the macabre, somebody who has acted, who has played music on a rock and roll stage. He is a magician of electronics and of gear. And so that itself is magic. Of course, electricity. We don't know exactly how it works. But this man claims he does. We have a guest, a special guest, Mr. Greg Tomasian. Hello, Greg. One moment, Greg, we cannot hear you. Is it the caller?
Hold on.
Okay.
Shit. Hold on. No, here we go. Here we go. We're patching you in.
Yeah, we're patching me in. Here I am.
All right, man.
There
Hello,
I
Greg.
am. Am I loud now?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, great.
You're
Here
great.
I am.
Welcome, Greg.
Hey.
So, all of your accomplishments led you to this moment. But we want to talk a little bit about your past, because there's something that happened a long time ago that you don't really like to talk about. But we got you on the horn, and you said that you would talk about this. So, if you would you explain a little bit about your past, your experiences?
Yes. Okay, so my past is I played music a lot, in quite a few bands. I'm not going to mention any of them, but a lot of them involve like keyboards and stuff. So that's kind of where let's just start with like the story of I guess my introduction to punk, because I think that would make sense to like where we are today, right? So like I had some buddies who were in LA, and they're pretty cool, and I was basically just like a 14-year-old kid who was on the internet, and I like kind of was creeping around message boards and stuff for music. And then there was this band that played what was it, like on Tech TV they had this thing called I forget what it was called now, shoot, but it was basically like a video game show, right? And it was this band called the 14-Year-Old Girls, and it's like the greatest thing ever. But basically, like a lot of the folks in that band ended up being super instrumental in like getting me way into like the whole LA punk thing, and kind of got me closer to like this whole the movie stuff you talk about, like the Germs movie, if anyone's familiar with that. I was an extra in that movie. That's probably one of my crowning accomplishments as an actor. I've had 2 roles.
Wow.
That's amazing.
2 whole roles.
Real quick,
yeah.
I want to rewind here, because you're lying by omission a little bit, and I don't I don't take kindly to that kind of omission of lying, because
Let's do this.
you're saying punk, and
Yeah,
it's not just it's punk rock.
that's right. It's punk. It's punk rock and roll.
So
It's
so
it's it's really rock and roll. I mean, it's really the devil's music.
thank you
That's really what it
for
is.
admitting. Thank you for admitting that, because I was gonna accuse you of hiding the fact that it's the devil's music that you're playing.
Yes, yes.
Mm.
It is kind of the devil's music, I guess. You know, sometimes you play those flatted notes that make your stomach tremble a bit, but it's a good tremble. It's you know, sometimes
Mm.
it's natural, sometimes you need that tremble, and you know, if you can make a pop tune out of it, who you hurting, right? It's not too bad.
I mean, there's
Uh,
lots of people that could be hurt, and I think that have been hurt by some music. Because I think, Greg, I think we need to also think about that these are incantations. Like this isn't just fun and games. Like these, like music has like real world consequences because it's magic. Because you're
yes,
putting people under a spell. And
It's
but the
sound
question is like,
waves.
you're right. So you are aware. So
It's pretty
what do
weird,
you?
man.
Right.
I mean, you don't really talk about it, but it's like, why do you go to a show, and why do you expect excessive volumes? It's like
mm.
it's beyond like subconscious. Like those frequencies are doing stuff, man. That's what I think.
That's no. That's what you know, and that's what we
Okay, maybe
know.
that's what I know, and maybe that's why a lot of us like to play really big stuff.
Hmm.
We like to push a lot of air, you know,
And where do we push it? You know?
deep into the core. That's where all of it exists, you know, just big old
Wow.
sound cannons. That's what rock and roll is. People don't talk about it. But think about it. The evolution of rock and roll has only been the evolution of the electric guitar amplifier, right? The bigger
Yeah.
they got, the louder they got, the more they could put together, the bigger the stages, the bigger the shows, the more masses. Think about it. In the 80s, you
Wow.
had rock and roll shows where you had 500,000 people en masse watching one band being pummeled by sound cannons. It's crazy. Why do you think that stuff doesn't exist as to the same scale that it did?
Wow. And we also have to kind of throw in, like I said, you are an electrical wizard, so you have worked on amplifiers before. You know about sound cannons.
Yeah, I mean, if you really think about like vacuum tube technology, it's kind of magic. Like,
I,
like, like, really, you're essentially saying, okay, within this vacuum, you can create energy, and that energy can be displaced at such a rate that it's going to make things louder or bigger or whatever you're going to use it for, right? It is kind of magic. It's weird. It's like alchemy, kind of, because you're
It's
just
paranormal.
sometimes. I mean, really, there's been. I mean, you can't really describe why some amps sound just inherently better than others. Like, especially with older amps, you'll play one amplifier, then you'll play another, and you're like, this is too good. Something's going on here. And you open the amp up, and there's no reason for it to be that good. You know, it's old. It's hasn't been repaired or worked on, but sometimes there's just something inside the circuit that exists. I think, you know.
possessing it in a
Yeah.
way.
I mean, if you think about it, if you play an old instrument or an old amplifier or anything else like that, right? You're just playing through the DNA of another person's like creative output. It's kind of weird, right? Like if you play
Mhm.
an amp from the 70s that was played by some dude who played nothing but like country licks for the thing, you're kind of like hanging out with their, you know, little imprint and history on that thing, right? It's weird. I
With
think
their ghost,
sometimes
perhaps.
I think sometimes stuff sticks in an amp, you know? That's what I think.
Wow. And imagine 50 of them stacked together. And you know what you said to me to the podcast is very profound, because it kind of reminds me of pixels on a screen. And those are light amplifiers. You know, they're light cannons. They're shooting, you know, information at us, right? Ghosts can be embedded in this information, just like they can be embedded in sound waves. And it's so imagine the screen that everybody looks at as a bunch of amplifiers, as sound cannons just pumping into your face.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean,
And
if you really think about it, like it's all the same thing because we can't process what is actually happening, right? Like a sound wave is so rapidly fast that what we're hearing is only what we're processing. In the same way that we do that with like the visual medium, right? Like when you're looking at a TV, your eyeballs aren't even able to process the fact that, the red portion is on for 1/10 of a thousandth of a second, and then the green portion, like you can't process that. So it's weird. Like the way that it kind of like embeds itself into you is like, I don't know. It's almost like a medium, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's its own medium. And I mean, if you really think about it, like, what is a vacuum tube? It's just a plate of metal that you're heating up, and then it's releasing electrons. So if you think about it, it's like releasing energy, right?
Or
And within that
ghosts.
energy, well, where do you think ghosts like exist really?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like thunder and like electrical energy has a lot of potential to store many things, right? And like it's like electrical uh, frequencies are insane. And who's to say like you couldn't have a spirit just hanging out in one frequency, right?
Wow.
Wow, great. This is really, really interesting stuff. And I think this really speaks well to your personal experiences. And I'm hoping that you can maybe help share with us. I know you've spoken with Gio, but I've not heard personally with your experiences on set and on movie sets. Um, I think our show is really about how energies are being stored by certain powers and being used in certain ways, and very significant ways. So I'm hoping that you can help us and help all of our audience, all of the people listening, like know what you've seen and what has happened, and what you've perceived, what you felt as a magician.
So in terms of movie stuff, it's mostly just background roles. Let's set that pace real clear. But even as a background actor, um, you get like privy to just like being around the set for a couple of days and like seeing stuff that people don't see. So like the one movie I was in, What We Do Is Secret, is the Germs biopic, right? And
Mm-hmm.
like again, the same group of people that kind of got me into like LA proper were kind of like, involved with this, and they encouraged me to go check it out and whatever. And like I was young, like real young. I think my parents dropped me off, right, which is really awesome. Like just being a dumb kid being like, "Hey, I got to be dropped off like in butt fuck LA, like in the middle, like just somewhere, some soundstage, whatever." Um but that movie was weird because I was really at that phase where like I had ingested a lot of like crucial punk stuff, like musically, especially LA. Like I spent an entire year just focused like on LA, trying to get everything in LA. Like, and so this movie was rad because a lot of the people that like I was like stoked on or listening to or reading about were going to be on set, like consulting, or like they're going to be in the movie as like an extra or like whatever, right? So I said,
Wow.
screw it, I'm going to sign up. I'm going to do this thing. So I did it, and like I mean, I don't know how extensive you want me to go into this whole thing, but like I can just tell you like day one kind of stuff. Like, I
We
mean,
we want to talk about kind of the things that scared you. Um,
Mm.
the experiences that you can't forget, the
okay,
unforgettable
okay,
experience.
okay. Um, I mean, the most scary thing is that like it's just really weird to be on set. Like, if you haven't been on set before, it's just really weird to be on set because you're like, oh, it's just fucking lights and like cameras and just it is what it is. Like I don't know, it's really strange because you're kind of just standing in the room while acting is happening, and you're like, okay, this is how it's done, I guess. Like, you know what I mean? And that's not like to put anything down. That's just like, I don't know. It's just kind of eye opening to see it happen in front of you. But like scary stuff. Definitely the vibe around the like area where the thing was being shot was just sketch.
Yes.
Like there was definitely like people just getting totally tossed left and right, like basically between whatever was happening. And I don't know, there was just some creepy like streets that I ended up stumbling into. And like the first day was like kind of a longer shoot, so it went into kind of the evening. And I don't know, there's just some stuff that was a little strange, but I didn't really think much of it.
Wow. So, as somebody who is behind the scenes during the filming of a major motion picture, and like you said, all of this kind of punk rock and roll energy that is getting kind of stored in this movie, and we also have the title being "What We Do Is Secret," which is all
Wow.
about secrets. I mean, terrifying stuff.
I mean, that's
So,
just code word in Hollywood is that they're secretly working with ghosts.
and
Mhm.
and I don't want to say that there were ghosts on set. I don't want to scare you, but it's really reading the way you're talking about it. You're hitting all of the check boxes. You're marking them all down for ghosts on that set. That's a paranormal set that you were on.
I mean, let's cut to the chase, right? Darby Crash.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
Yeah.
like so the first day I got there was this whole thing where they were trying to psych everyone up. It was like the decline scene. Like the decline scene proper, and it was just weird because basically it was going to be people watching the germs play to a backing track, and like it's just weird to like be stoked on that no matter how loud it is. It's just weird. So they had like these bands open, and like the bands were just, I think, like friends of the producers or like friends of like the inner circle of that punk whatever crew. They weren't bad. I don't remember who they were. Maybe they do. I don't know. But it was, the whole point was like, oh, you're gonna get really stoked. You're gonna get really stoked on this, and then you're gonna like, mosh around as the germs play. And I just remember the whole time I was like, I wonder what would Darby Crash think about this?
Ooh.
Like, and what if what if he could do something?
Mm. Well, let's quickly inform the audience. Darby Crash was the lead frontman of the Germs proper in the 70s, and he died at a very young age. He overdosed, suicide by overdose, and it is pretty safe to say he's a ghost now. And all of this, and I also say it's pretty safe to say that what you're talking about, this kind of them getting everybody agitated, telling them to get excited, and then making them dance and mosh, sounds like a ritual.
Very well could have been. I mean, I don't know. It's just weird because like I couldn't I could sort of kind of get into it, but it was also just very strange to like see people getting really into it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it wasn't a cool thing. It was just like, uh-oh.
Whoa. Okay, so that's Nico, everyone. Geo is it's our marker, our canary. So there's a ghost on this show right now. Don't worry, listeners. This is audio stage for you, but for us, unfortunately, we're in the thick of it. So
we're getting attacked right now.
I'm not entirely sure whose line it is, but I think Nico. Yeah, as Nico told me, it's definitely one of us. There's a presence with one of us. Greg, I see that you're looking behind you. Is everything all right in there?
Just a loud slam. That's all.
Oh my God. And I have to mention that we have Greg in our very super secret audio laboratory where we only have our street team. They're only allowed there under lock and key. So for him to be hearing this is kind of uncanny. I'm afraid, but I think we have to continue because just with the mention of Darby Crash,
all right, hold on.
We're getting all of this flack.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm slacking the street team, and I'm making sure that we get some extra firewalls up around you. Keep
throw
that fire
more on
hot.
there.
All right. Cool.
Great. So let's get back to the movie set and a little bit about the main frontman of the movie. His name's Shane West.
Yes. So Shane West, I don't know. He seemed cool. Like, he just seemed really into it, and he did like some gnarly. I think he got like the actual Darby Crash tattoo, and then he had his teeth either shaved or had caps removed, one or the other. But like his teeth were like Darby Crash's teeth, like they were split in half. Like it was gnarly. Like he literally had dental work done so that he would look like him. Um, and it very much seemed like during because you have to remember around the time of the movie that iteration of the Germs was also playing. And I think Shane West was really trying to channel Darby Crash. Like, if you want to talk about like some spiritual energy going on, like I think Shane West was like really trying to be Darby Crash. And who knows, maybe that would have like ticked off Darby Crash. I don't know.
Wow.
How would you
Great.
feel?
I mean, we could ask Freddie Mercury the exact same question right now,
Mm-hmm.
and he does not feel good.
I mean, would he want Sacha Baron Cohen to have played him instead of the guy who they ended up having to get? I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe.
We'd have to check his will. Because
Yeah.
that there's got to be a biopic clause for these major celebrities. They all have one.
I bet.
Yeah.
Interesting. So this man tries to embody another dead man. And then what happens after is that he tours with the Germs.
Uh-huh.
And it's almost as if he totally takes over Darby Crash's life.
Yeah, people went crazy for that shit too. Like that stuff was selling out. So he definitely was like young kids were going crazy over it. And who knows, like what if you were like a 15-year-old girl who just loved Shane West and then the Germs like became, you know what I mean? Like who liked the like why not? It's Shane West and the Germs, like okay. But like he definitely had a power over the crowd. Like and the footage of them playing live is ridiculous because it's Shane West like channeling Darby Crash.
That's crazy. So is this? Do you have video documentation of this? Is this all right? Can we publish this to have that send it out to our team? Maybe make sure to see if anyone spots anything irregular with this.
Yeah, I think you should
investigate it.
You should like look up Shane West playing live with the Germs. I mean, shoot. There's something going on there.
Guys, I'm gonna upload a YouTube clip. I'll probably do this right about now. Okay, sounds
sweet.
That was fucked up. He sounded just like Darby.
Thanks for the likes and the comments, everyone.
That was a great little audio clip that we just played. So from that, he sounds a lot like Darby. He's acting like Darby, but of course he's not Darby, and he's not him anymore, right? He left the band, they stopped playing, and he moved on.
Yes, I mean, I think what ended up happening, like, was basically like that was just kind of a thing that was going to happen for a while, and it was just going to eventually dissolve out and not be a thing anymore. Like I don't think anyone planned on it being the Germs forever. Like, I don't even think it would have been sustainable because I think like what's his name? Pat Smear, like he's probably good like financially, with the Foo Fighters and stuff. So why would he want to tour playing the same like 20 song? I don't know. I'm just talking shit, but you get what I'm saying, right? Like that stuff doesn't last forever.
The band was doomed to be a ghost at some point.
I mean, the band was a ghost. They were just the shell of someone else's creative output, and they just like put it together and put like some energy behind it. But like really, it's all Darby Crash's stuff, right? Like,
wow. I think this is what we are going to be talking about a lot more. The method actors of Hollywood, and this is episode 1 of the series. We're gonna get into this. We're gonna get into Daniel Day-Lewis, DDL. We're gonna get into Leo, the Revenant. We're getting into everybody, okay? Because the Revenant is the ghost If you guys didn't realize that one.
That's literally the title of the film.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll talk about that when we get there. But Shane West is very interesting because this is kind of somebody who embodied somebody for a moment for the movie, but then beyond that, he went even further, and he kind of like lived his life. He walked in his shoes for an extra like 9 months or something like that.
Yeah, they're on tour for a while. And I mean, I shouldn't have said that like it was just his project. Like, I mean, obviously Pat Smear had a big piece of it, and everyone else that was instrumental in that band had a big piece to do with like the musical piece of it. But I mean, honestly, the biopic was about Darby Crash, and I think Shane West was meant to like bring Darby Crash back to life for a little while, you know, like.
Wow.
And some would argue he did, and some would argue it was like a cash grab, and some would say it was sacrilege, and I mean, to me, it was like, okay, he's doing it, whatever. Like, more power to him, I guess. I don't think I fought to go see him. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I think at the time it was impossible to see him. It was such a big deal, and I was just like, but it's not like the Germs. It's not like Darby Crash is back. Like, I don't know. I was pretty just like stubborn on that point, you know.
I think you make a really good point there, Greg. I mean, as I think when people are acting these roles, are they really possessions, or are they just actors? Right? Is it method, or are they possessed?
I mean,
and right?
It's like a trance, you know. I think like really good method acting is like a trance, and when you go into a trance state, who knows what happens, you know? And you can't tell what one actor is doing to like compared to another actor because you can't get into their brain or their like psyche and feel where they're going, you know. But I definitely feel like some actors go places, and maybe those places are beyond their bodies, you know.
Wow. You're right. You're absolutely right about that, Greg. But Shane West is not the only thing about this movie that I wanted to talk to you about, because I watched the movie and I saw your scene that you're the extra in. You're clearly visible. It's during a house party scene, and this is honestly this is for the world saw you.
We're
They
going to
saw
be
you.
posting this as well, so
They saw
check out
you
our channels.
at
We're
Cannes.
going to show this clip.
They saw you in New York, at Venice. They saw you everywhere in Istanbul, in China. This movie went all across the world, and you were there. And in the scene that you're in, a man is dressed as the devil.
This is a fact.
Tell me about this man and this mystery man.
So this mystery man in the movie apparently was just supposed to be some party goer who's like in a devil costume, but it was just Chris Pontius in a devil suit. And like if you were watching MTV at the time and you were like into Jackass, like it was literally the same devil suit he wore like the week prior on an episode of Jackass. So it was like just kind of surreal to be like, okay, I guess this is in here. Like it's like kind of a nod to Jackass, but also like Chris Pontius seemed cool. So whatever, it was what it was. But he was definitely in a devil suit, and essentially what happens in the scene is Darby Crash, like spoiler sort of, he doesn't die
Please.
at this point. Doesn't die at this point in the movie, but people thought he OD'd during this party, and Chris Pontius comes to the rescue and assures everyone, oh no, like it's, you know, it's like I forget what it was. It was, you know, amyl nitrate or something. I don't remember, but it was like a party drug. And he says something like really like kind of gnarly about how like certain people use it to like loosen their butts for like, you know, butt sex. That's my scientific way of just explaining it. Um, and that was a scene, and it was a great scene. And he was in the devil costume. But the weird thing is that, like, the day of, I was outside. I was walking to the like casting location, right? Because they had us like it literally out back under a tent with like water and stuff. But it was like a place for all these like punk people to come huddle before they shoot us into a room. to
Mhm.
fake dance to the fake germs. It was good. But like, it was just really surreal. I don't know. It was a very strange thing. I was walking up to the thing and I see this pickup truck like just like pull up real fast. And I'm like, oh shit! Like maybe I'm in the way. No, it's just Chris Pontius, and he like slams on the brakes, and the car just like jerks to a stop. He's like, "Hey, this where the movie is?" I was like, "I think so." It's like, "Cool." It just takes off. I'm like, "Whatever." There he goes. Like, and he like literally he walked in, and he was like kind of like hanging out with people, and he was real cool. And then they like pulled him over, and then he disappeared. And he disappeared for a while until like the scene that we were talking about. And when he came out, he was like, "Okay, I'm ready." Like it was awesome because again, the whole scene was about him just assuring people that like, no, Darby didn't kill himself. He just used a drug that like makes your butthole loose for anal sex.
But it
And
was spontaneous that he dressed as the devil.
yeah, because his whole thing in Jackass, and I think the thing in the Germs is about bringing Satan back to LA, right? Like there was that whole segment. I think you might have to do some investigating on that, but he did try to bring the devil back to Los Angeles, and people like beat him up for it.
Mm.
Like
He's,
maybe that's his belief. Who
he
knows?
succeeded. It's obvious that it was a ritual.
I
Uh,
mean, what is Jackass? It's just like ritualistic torture. It's weird.
for a purpose, though. I
And
mean,
what's that purpose, though? It's monetary gain, and you could argue that that's super Satan, right? Like,
well,
and the amount of money they amassed for just harming themselves, you could consider that something, right?
absolutely, and look what it's done to them. You have Steve-O, who hit rock bottom, and then of course now is killing it as a social media superstar.
Fact.
Johnny Knoxville, making his movie Action Point. Um,
Handsome.
he's a old grandpa. He's crotchety. He's basically riding the wave of Jackass all the way to the bank.
Yeah.
One of
And I
them.
mean, like, his whole thing is like, cool guy with the glasses, but like, kind of like, not super cool guy, kind of like chill cool guy. Like that's his whole thing now. It's just like, I'm Johnny Knoxville. Hey, like, and
Mhm.
he's fucking chill. Like I'm into it. Let him do his thing. But then you have all the guys that like died. Like look at that shit. Like that was a bummer. And you have to
Mhm.
wonder how many ghosts were emerged from that whole instance of just like debauchery and terror and craziness. Because like all of those people from that series, it seemed went through some crazy like heavy stuff.
Absolutely. Those people, they suffered for our pleasure until it became their pleasure. You know?
I mean, could you see yourself getting into a shopping cart and having someone push you at like full speed into just a curb into like a rose thorn bush? Like
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that sucks. Like I don't want to do that. Like that's a bummer. Why would you want to do that?
But it's not too far off from self-flagellation and other ritual,
That's all it is. That's what I'm saying.
right? Ritual practices, all to bring forth spirits. And I think we really hit it on that one. That I think they did. They really brought. There's some spirits that were brought together. Yeah, it's just astonishing that I think this is some. We haven't had to bring a chance to bring our instruments into any of these stories, but they sound very credible to me, and I'm glad you made it out there alive and wasn't run over by that pickup truck, because it sounds like he might have been a little bit possessed in
He
that
Mhm.
might have
instance as
been. I
well.
mean, he definitely seemed like he was very hyper and excited to be there for some reason. And I mean, if you think about it, when you talk about the self-flagellation and like the whole idea behind that, like when you do that, but then you project it to the masses, like millions
Mm-hmm.
and millions of people, and then you put movies around it and all this other stuff, you're just like pinging for spirits. like with a giant net. You're just like out casting a giant net for as many spirits as you can get who are like, yes, this is what I want, and then they latch onto it.
Exactly.
And then you
Paying
get
spirits.
everywhere, dude. Why do you think
Wow.
they're so into it? Why would you keep doing that, you know?
Right.
There's a reason for it.
And this kind of connects us to the other movie that you were a part of.
Yes. This other movie was called
Wow.
Hipster Holocaust.
Oh,
I didn't even get it out.
no. That's because that's how intense. Hold on. Oh my gosh, they're flooding our network right now. Come on, baby. Ah.
It is crazy how much they want to get us. And we're not going to let them this time. Go ahead and repeat that just so everyone could hear. What was the name of the movie you were in?
So the name of the film was called Hipster Holocaust by one William Burgess. Very, very awesome gentleman. Fancy man with a fine beard. I haven't talked to him in like 15 years or 20 years now. I don't know. It's been forever. It's been ridiculous.
So, did this man William Burgess? Did he run a tight ship? Did you feel the same amount of tension as you did with the movie What We Do Is Secret?
No, because he like totally embraced like the vibe of the place. You know, like he didn't shy away from like cool auras and like spooky vibes because like he wanted to capture that. You know, he's like a big fan of those kind of things. I'd say, from what I knew about him.
So, like a ghost enthusiast who was trying to capture the atmosphere rather than kind of brush it under the rug.
Yeah, I think like he was definitely like his paintbrush was loaded with atmosphere, and he stroked those brushes wide and far, my friends.
Wow. So the role that you play in this movie, also kind of you were behind the scenes.
Yes.
What happened to you?
Behind the scenes or on the scenes?
Well, let's start with on the scenes, and then we can work our way behind them.
Okay. So I don't really remember much of my parts other than I'm somehow just like a toting buddy, and then I get slaughtered, and then that's pretty much the end for me.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was good. I think I had a few scenes, and then I was quickly executed, but I had a great death scene. A great death scene. If you pull up the trailer, I think my death scene is like a prominent component of the of the trailer. And there was a lot of stage blood in my mouth, and I just remember the floor was cold, and the stage blood was slightly sweet, and there was some ants on the floor, and yeah, it was something. Definitely something.
So you were turned into a ghost.
Yeah, pretty much. They killed me. I was dead. My spirit went on camera at least. So technically on screen I've died. So you could say that my actor presence could have left an aura within that movie. I'm not sure though.
I believe it.
During the scene, I had to like really get scared because I'm dying, right? So that's what I did. I was like, I'm dying. So I think some of that stress might have emanated like a bit of an energy, you know? So who knows? I might have tinted the film a bit.
Was this before or after What We Do Is Secret?
I do not know. I cannot remember. You'd have to look that one up on IMDb, my friend.
Okay.
I think they're relatively close. I'd actually be really surprised to hear what years those were, because I'll be honest, I totally forgot.
I mean, but someone who's obviously been through some trauma, I mean, that is totally acceptable to understand, especially if a part of you technically died on set. I mean, yes, of course, we excuse such inconsistencies because it's understandable. It's just how it works.
I just looked it up, and it is What We Do Is Secret came out in 2007,
Ay, ay, ay.
and Hipster Holocaust came out in 2011.
Ooh.
Again, you have the last number 7 and 1. 7 minus 1 is 6. So that's our second one.
6. Wow, guys. So I think it's pretty safe to say that the fear that you channeled was a subconscious fear that you carried from the set of What We Do Is Secret.
It could have been, because if you think about it, I saw Darby Crash potentially die on camera, right?
Exactly.
And I could have carried that with my acting character to Hipster Holocaust.
Wow.
Because, I mean, if you think about it, what's a germs burn, right? It's just a bit of influence. But it's
Now,
like something you carry over and over and over and over. But, like, it's the same thing with, like, a death spirit, you know? Could hang out with you.
We have to talk about the germs burn real quick.
Yeah.
Rob, I don't know if you know this, but it's basically a sign of being part of the germs family. You would take a cigarette and you would burn yourself, and you would leave a circle on your skin, like a symbol. Everyone knows that symbols are spells.
Of course.
So you would leave a small spell on your body, on your person, that would be connected to everybody else who had the exact same mark. And this was happening in the 70s. And I believe that parts of this were recreated for the movie.
Yeah, it's like late 70s, early 80s, and basically the idea was that Darby Crash would originate the germs burn, and anyone that had been germs burned by him was then privy to burn other people, and that was considered a continuation. But basically, you couldn't just like give yourself a germs burn. But when I was growing up, everyone did that. Like that was just the thing you did.
But a true germs burn would have to be sired from a person with a connection to Darby directly.
Basically, it's like 6 degrees of separation with flesh wounds. Like you have to be like a component of the flesh of the original germs burn. And even if it's like 8 people, as long as like the chain goes in order, it would be considered a legitimate germs burn.
Wow.
And they were giving germs burns on set too. That was a weird thing.
Interesting.
On set?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Did you receive one yourself?
No. No. Number one, I like the people that were getting them, like it was like one person who I think was like there was a friendship there or something. But most of it was just stupid people giving each other germs burns on set. And you're like, then you smoke the cigarette after you burn your friend's skin with it? Like, that's weird because then you're just smoking their skin, you know?
Their flesh.
And maybe there's something in there. Maybe that's a component of the germs burn, right? Like, you burn a bit of flesh and you take a big old puff and you're kind of like inhaling their matter. Like,
oh my god.
Well, I think you were very fortunate that you did not partake in any of the germs burns on set, because I think that those spirits that we were speaking of before that followed you to Hipster Holocaust, I don't think that there's any getting out of it for all those who participated in that. That's you're permanent.
Yeah.
In that moment, especially with such energy that was already going on set. I fear for all those crew member actors that's it for them.
It's like branding yourself, right? For like something to come get you.
Marking yourself for the beast to find you.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe it's like Darby Crash's ghost. Just in the middle of the night, starts taking people out one by one. That'd be insane.
Let's talk a little bit about the germs music. I want to just quickly kind of rattle off a couple songs. So there's one of them called Lexicon Devil. Okay.
Wow.
Devil.
Right in there. Not even shy.
Okay. Another one, it's called Circle One. Okay. Now, people know about the circles of hell, right? How many circles of hell are there? There's
at least 7.
Seven Circles. This movie came out in 2007,
Wow.
right? And circle 1, 7 minus 1 is 6.
There's 9 total circles, Geo, which is just an upside down 6, as we all know.
Wow. Wow. And then if you think about it, the 7 plus 1 is 9.
Mm-hmm.
And circle, okay, and the reason why I say plus 1 is because here is a quick little tidbit of an interview that I have where Shane West says that the filming of the Germs movie he believed was Circle 2. Here's the clip. Wow.
Definitive.
So that's where the 2 comes from. The 7 plus 2 is 9. 9 circles of hell. So we have another 7 circles left to go. And
Wow.
I don't think Shane West is going to take up the mantle. I think it's going to happen in some other form.
Well, here's the thing that we have to address. Hollywood is ran by old punk rockers. The whole system is filled with old punk rockers. Like, that's the unspoken truth.
Vampires, I mean, right.
Like Pee-wee's Playhouse, like the television show, right? That was all old punks putting that show on together. Like Mark Mothersbaugh of Diva did the music for that show. And he was subversive as any of them, you know? So I think this was more of a ceremony to bridge punk rock and Hollywood together for one like kind of glorious bastion of, you know, remembrance, but also like a bit of a resurrection of Darby Crash, I think. Like
wow. For
I,
what?
who knows? I think he had more songs than them and people want to hear them and they just think maybe if we literally did like a poltergeist and got his spirit into Shane West, we could hear those final songs once and for all.
Mm. And I guess we'll never know if they got to hear them. Did you hear them on set?
They just play back, and it was very odd because they they set it up. You know, the band played, the real band played, and then they got off stage, and then they had to set up like the germ stuff, and they were like spraying the cymbals with this spray that muted them. So like the dude's playing the drums, it's like it was just weird. It was super weird. I can't even describe it. It's just really weird. I don't know if they're trying to not disturb any like spirits by not actually playing the music live, because I think they're all capable. But yeah, and I mean let's consider who played Pat Smear in that movie. You're gonna have to look it up, but he's a pretty prominent actor.
Oh yes, his name is Rick Gonzalez.
Yes, and what has he been in?
Oh man, he's been in the TV show Arrow, Legends of Tomorrow. He's been in Mr. Robot. Mr. Robot with Rami Malek, who is playing Freddie Mercury.
Okay, there you go. There you go. He had no idea anyone would ever look that up, and now you just did, and now you've proven something.
Also, another connection. He was in a video short, Lady Gaga's Judas. He plays Jesus. And
it's the writing not on the wall.
This came out in 2011, the same year that Hipster Holocaust came out. Wow.
If you don't have goosebumps right now, check your pulse, ladies and gentlemen, because that's really creepy. That power and spirit and energy was so strong that it it toxified everything around it. Like anything that came out just had that within it, you know.
Embedded, just like sound cannons.
Do you think like Hollywood is kind of like electrical in its own way? Like is Hollywood like a capacitor? Does Hollywood basically take in all of this like energy and store it and store it and store it and then just like shoot it out in a constant flow? Like for every star that's consumed by the machine, for every band that like falls apart, whatever it lets out, You know what I mean?
Another star is born.
Yeah, you have to sacrifice one to like birth another. And like no one's ever checking the books on this, but there's probably a number
Yes.
that exists. And that
It's
number
666, my friend.
We are doing the numbers, my friend.
And that's what they add up to be.
And it seems like we find them every single week in our episodes. This podcast is a testament to number crunchers, to mathematicians that won't stop crunching numbers no matter how hard it gets. Because sadly, we have to do the math to find out that everything really does add up to 666.
Yeah,
and
those numbers get
again.
big. Yeah, those numbers get big. It's intimidating. It hurts your head. But
they grow up fast.
They really do.
Mm-hmm. But we can't be afraid of the big numbers, just like we can't be afraid of the big ghosts, because you can defeat them. And it all takes technique and time, and we have plenty of that. And, of course, expertise. And I want to thank Greg for sharing his expertise. I think his electrical expertise is phenomenal. The idea of Hollywood as a capacitor that stores energy and releases it is groundbreaking evidence that we're going to have to get peer-reviewed as soon as possible. And I think we'd like to have you back, Greg. Would you like to be a part of our street team?
Yes, but yes.
Okay.
I would.
Sounds like there's a condition. There's a but there.
No, there. It's nothing. It's nothing we can't discuss off the air.
Okay. So this is some logistical issues here.
No, not it's not even that. Look, let's just say that sometimes stuff happens on these things. So I can say yes, but I can't always guarantee that it's going to be not strained and maybe not hard for me to recount. Capiche?
Oh no, of course. I mean, we want this to be a safe place for you to come and discuss. We're deeply honored for you to.
I'm not worried about stuff happening, fellas.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I'm ready to embrace some stuff. That's how I want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's going to be good. We're going for it. It's time.
I couldn't say it better myself. I really couldn't. So I think we're going to call it a week. I don't think there's any more we could say other than I do feel that this part of our this leg of our investigations is going to bear a lot of very good fruit. There seems to be something going on with method actors and the embodiment of people who were once alive, actual ghosts. You know, we're talking about like the Hunter S. Thompson that Johnny Depp embodied. You know, we're talking about people, who played Stephen Hawking, Eddie Redmayne. You know, all of these people who are playing dead people now. They had to take their energy. They suck the energy from them, and for those reasons, we have to investigate.
Absolutely.
So, look forward to that, guys. You guys have to stay in the scene because things are going to be flying at you. Dogs won't always be there to warn you about the ghosts that are going to attack. So you have to be there on the scene for yourself.
Keep your eyes on the screen. You know, check into our social channels because as we were teasing in this episode as well, not everything can make it. You know, sometimes you got to see things for yourself. We got to throw some video up there. So please check our Twitter. Please check our Instagram. Our Twitter, again, is Ghost in the Scene, at Ghost in the Scene. Instagram, yes. Ghost in the Meme with underscores. Email us if you have information. If you see a ghost, send us the evidence. We will share it. It is at ghostinthescene@gmail.com.
That's right. We are also accepting orbs. Orbs are acceptable forms of ghost photography. People call it bullshit. I call them bullshit. Okay. If you see a ghost in a photograph, we'll look at it and we will confirm it, or of course debunk it if it is bullshit, because we're not going to take fakes. So please send us your photos and give us a review. Thank you, Greg, one more time, and we hope to see you in another episode soon.
Yes, that'd be good.
All right.
Yeah.
Be blessed, Greg. We're going to get the street team, get you back home safe. Take care, my friend. It was an honor.
Mm-hmm.
It was wonderful, gentlemen. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Of course. And I guess real quick, do you want to plug anything?
No, I don't think so.
Perfect. So until next time, we love you and take care.
Bye bye.